We got next screaming Israel rise. Jamming to my verbs, standing on the curb, famine of the word, damaging my nerves, cannon for the purge. I go Michael bad.
This is Titus chapter 1 verse 16. They profess that they know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate.
They profess that they know God, but in every good work they're reprobate, man. They're spiritually discerned away from it. They're against everything that's spiritual because they're a natural man, and they don't want to take anything that's spiritual. That's why the Bible is so contrary to them. That's why the Bible is so contrary to them, man. Because you're not in these scriptures like that. You're not getting the understanding. You're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, man. So get that. Go back to
Romans 2:21. Thou therefore which teachest another, teachest thou not thyself? Thou that preachest a man should not steal, dost thou steal?
Don't you teach yourself? Don't you practice what you preach? Matter of fact, that's what Romans 2 is about, man. You practice what you preach. Practice what you preach, man. Just like you got these pastors who want to be like, oh, we love everybody. But in fact, you don't love everybody. You let a so-called white man and their dogs over here that just passed by. Right. Goddamn Air Buds over here. Right. Built like boards, man. That's right. Y'all love them, but you don't love Jake, man. You don't love Jake. That's why you teach false doctrine for money. That's why you teach for filthy lucre's sake, man. That's the only reason you teach for, man. You know this. You know the scripture. You know the scriptures enough to know salvation isn't for everybody. The salvation isn't for everybody, man. It's easy. This isn't like something you gotta go. This ain't something deep that you have to find out. You open up the first chapter of Luke. You open up anywhere in the Old Testament, honestly. That salvation is only for Israel. That's right. But you want to teach for filthy lucre's sake, man, because it makes money. I've seen pastors do it. I have a friend that I know who says, I have a friend that knows a pastor, and he knows what he's teaching his lies, but he keeps on doing it for money. He admitted to this guy. He admitted that he drinks and he smokes weed before he goes and teaches. Wow. He admitted this to him, man. And that's the people you want to go to and listen to. But you're gonna come up here and try to curse us out when we tell you God don't care about anybody, out of the scriptures. Right. Until you have to start keeping the law, statutes, commandments out of the scriptures, man. Your problem isn't with us, it's with God, man. That's why you had that Eva come up here and say we're not teaching the whole thing and all that's rubbish. When we're coming out of law, statutes, and commandments to God, man. Right. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares. Jake just don't care about God, bro. That's why we're still here. Go back to
Romans 2:22. Thou that sayest a man should not commit adultery, doest thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorrest idols, dost thou commit sacrilege? That thou makest thy thou that makest thy boast of the law, through breaking the law dishonorest thou the Most High?
So you boast that you know God. You boast that you're a great teacher out here, but you don't do what you preach, man. You're contrary to it. And you're going to be judged, man. That's what this is. That's what Romans 2 is about. That's right. There's no spiritual Israel involved. That's right. There's no spiritual Israel involved at all. This is literally Paul, in combination of teachings of Yahweh, getting on Israel, man. Right. Specifically the southern kingdom. That's what he's getting on. That's the whole purpose of this chapter, man. That's what Paul's on. Not trying to just bring in all nationalities. If he's gonna bring in all nationalities, why does Romans chapter 9 exist? Why does Romans chapter 4 verse 1 exist, man? Abraham, the father of our race. Abraham's not the father of all races, man. So what? There's so much stuff. Romans chapter 1 verse 1, man. Get Romans chapter 1 verse 1.
This is Romans 1:1. Paul, a servant of Yahweh HaMashiach, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of the Most High.
He was set apart to preach the gospel of the Most High,
which he had promised afore by his prophets in the Holy Scriptures.
So the gospel was prophesied by the prophets in the Holy Scriptures. So where then is salvation for everybody? It doesn't exist, man. There is no salvation for the other nations in the scriptures. It's only salvation for Israel. Now go back to the point.
2 and 24. For the name of the Most High is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written, for circumcision verily profiteth, for if thou keep the law.
Oh, you keep on going. The name of Israel and the name of Yahweh is blasphemed by you Israelites, man. Because you continuously decide to be niggas. You continuously decide to hate each other and just look foolish, man. That's why everybody looks down on you. That's why the Most High God looks down on you, man. Until you acknowledge your offense, then his face will be turned unto us again. Right. But no, you want to keep blaspheming the Most High God's name that he put on you when he sent his son to die for you, man. Keep going.
Back at 2 and 25. For circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law, but if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision.
So now it's dealing with circumcision physically and spiritually at the same time here. Your circumcision, you being an Israelite, it profiteth you, man. It profits you to be an Israelite, man. Much every way, man. It profits you to be an Israelite because unto you was committed the oracles of God. So it profits you to be that. But if you decide to keep breaking the law, statutes, and commandments, which is your heritage and your culture, you become uncircumcision, man. You become uncircumcision. You become like the other nations. You become a Gentile. That Greek word right there goes back into foreign, which goes back to being foreign to the Most High, which goes back to being a Gentile, man.
Right.
You become a Gentile when you forsake your God, the only living God, man. Keep going.
Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision?
So our brethren who are lost still thinking they're American and thinking they're Greek or thinking they're Mexican or thinking they're anything outside of being an Israelite, if they come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, yes, they're going to be counted as an Israelite again, man. That goes into the redemption and the adoption.
That's right.
That's what that's going into. It's very simple. It doesn't, the context don't just change randomly and now he's just saying now anybody could be Israelite. No. He's talking about if you come back to your culture, which you forsook, you can come back and be who you were meant to be, man. That's why Romans chapter 1, get that, was that verse 7 with the saints? Get that.
Romans 1 and 7. To all that be in Rome, beloved of the Most High, called to be saints.
Called to be what?
Called to be saints.
Called to be saints. That's what he's doing in Romans 2. He's calling you to be saints, to be set apart, man. To be holy again. Be set apart. Come back to your God. Come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. Because that's what sets us apart. That's what sets us apart. And stop being foreign unto your God and stop being an alien. You're called to be saints. That's why it says to all in Rome, beloved of God. Not everybody in Rome was beloved of God.
Right.
You had people in Rome who was hated by God, and that's called the Edomites.
Right.
Proving the book of Romans isn't talking to anybody except Israelites.
Yeah. Keep going.
27. And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee, who by the letter and circumcision doest transgress the law.
So these guys, these brethren of us who decide to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments and decide to come back to their God, they're going to be cutting you to shreds because you say you believe in God, you say you're a real Jew, you say you're an Israelite, but you're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why the Most High God's raising up other Israelites to take your place, man. Because you used to be on fire on this word. Now you're not on fire on this word. Now you're into all kind of manner of wickedness. Now you're out of the truth. Now you don't even believe in the Bible, man. It's just crazy. Keep going.
For he is not a Jew, which is one outwardly.
You're not a Jew. You're not a real Jew just because you come out of the loins of Abraham. But what?
Neither is that circumcision, which is outward, which is outward in the flesh. But he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, and circumcision that is of the heart, in the spirit, and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men, but of the Most High.
His praise is not of men, but of the Most High God. It's talking about you actually stop being stiff-necked. Give me Deuteronomy 10 verse 16. You stop being stiff-necked spiritually and come back to the Most High God, man. Because this ain't a new concept. Circumcision of the spirit is not, and circumcision of the heart is not a new concept. It is a Torah concept. Proving this is only talking to Israelites. You got a precept?
Yeah, precept for outward. Then you got the precept for circumcised heart. This is Matthew chapter 23, verse 28. Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within ye are full of hypocrisy and iniquity.
You're full of is that on that? You're full of hypocrisy and iniquity, man. You're not keeping what makes you a Jew or what makes you an Israelite per se. Because what makes you an Israelite is our heritage, is these laws, is our God, is our land, man. All that combined. You don't care about that. You're forsaking that, and that's why you're choosing captivity. You're choosing captivity. You're keeping us here longer. But let's go back into that circumcision of the heart being a Torah concept. Give me that in Leviticus 26, I think it's 40, where it's circumcised the heart.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 10 verse 16. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked.
So circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, meaning cast off wickedness, man. Cast off that dross off of you. Wash you, make you clean. Start keeping these commandments, man. This isn't a new topic. So when we get to the New Testament, nothing's new. He's just reiterating stuff from the old. The only reason you think it's new is because you jump straight to Matthew and then come up with these off doctrines. Y'all just make up stuff. That's just what it boils down to. You make up stuff. You make up doctrines. That's why you rest with all the scriptures that Paul wrote, because you don't have no understanding of the other ones. That's why Paul is a stumbling block to the so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. When he cuts you to shreds, he cuts you to shreds. All the doctrines that y'all say that y'all are on, Paul cuts you to shreds, man. So circumcision, in this part, circumcision of the heart is not a new concept. It's a Old Testament concept, man. So-called Old Testament concept. It existed before this. You got that? You got one? Okay. And let me show you another one. Give me Romans 3 verse 31 real quick. Just to show how Paul cuts y'all, man. Because y'all want to say, y'all, like I said before, y'all make up things. That's what it boils down to. You make up things. The law's done away with. There's no way you got to be an idiot to believe Matthew 5 and 17 says the law's fulfilled. You don't have to keep it anymore. If you keep reading 3 verses down, it's basically telling you have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. So you have to be an idiot. You have to be willfully ignorant, man. Just like Chief said, denialism. You use the law being done away with to justify your own wickedness. And you try to use Paul to try to cut us, but Paul really cuts you.
Right. This is the book of Romans chapter 3 verse 31. Do we then make void the law through faith? The Most High forbid. Yea, we establish the law.
We establish the law. Going into, we push it harder in other translations, man. Paul cuts you. He never said stop keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. He said keep them. And have faith. Have faith in the Most High God. Have faith in His Son. And keep the law, statutes, and commandments. But you want to say, oh, we're under grace. Romans 6 cuts you. The whole chapter. Romans 6 through 8 cuts you don't have to keep, cuts anybody with the same doctrine saying you don't have to keep the law. I don't know why a Christian would ever in their right mind try to go to Romans, anywhere in Romans chapter 6 through 8 to say we don't have to keep the law. That's a death sentence, man. That's like just coming into a battle and then just taking your sword and just slashing yourself with it, man. That's what you're doing. Get that.
This is the book of Leviticus chapter 26 verse 41. And that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies.
So the Most High God walked contrary to us because we stopped keeping the law, statutes, and commandments.
Their uncircumcised hearts.
Their uncircumcised what?
Hearts.
Uncircumcised heart. Uncircumcision of the heart and circumcision of the heart is a Torah concept. And I like this verse because it proves that it's specifically talking to Jake.
If then their uncircumcised hearts be humble, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity.
Keep going.
All right, verse 42. Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob.
Then will he do what?
Remember my covenant with Jacob.
The uncircumcision of the heart and the circumcision of the heart is a Torah concept. And when you circumcise your heart, the Most High God remembers the covenant he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, proving that it's specifically for the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Keep going.
And also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember. And I will remember the land.
And he'll remember the land, and he'll bring us back into our land and save us.